All right. Okay, now we're ready for the dialogue and questions and answers. So let's see, do we have any chats? Any questions in the chats or any hands up? You can also put your hand up. I have a question to start us off. I'm really curious about how you attract the students. Is it a required class? How do they find out about it? Are they freshmen, junior, seniors? Just tell us a little bit about the composition of the students, and then if you heard has it affected where they go in their careers? I'm sure you've heard from alumni, so you could speak to that for a moment. Okay, Diane, I think you're muted again. Okay, try it again. Emily, would you like to speak to that for a moment, and then Diane can?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
speak loudly. Volume's
okay,
down.
when the class was first proposed, can you hear me?
Now it's a little vague, but
okay. When the class was first proposed, it was the early days of what we call general education. And it was a GE class for art and science. Well, I'm sorry, for art and humanities and science and engineering. And so that drew students from all over the campus. And over these years, we have had students from every major. And as they've changed the GE system, the general education system, we still were able to maintain that spectrum of different kinds of credit that the students get. So we actually turn students away every quarter. So we take 80 each time we teach the class. We take 80 students, and we probably turn away another 20. Even when we go to teaching it twice a year, we still turn students away. So they do need GE credit, but the reputation of the class has kind of spread around the campus, so students really want to take it. And because there's all these, there's not enough room in the class, people try year after year to get into it. So we have students first year, second year, third year, seniors ready to graduate. We have them at all of those stages.
And then how does the funding work?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. So some years ago, the campus said, well, where we have these courses that require a lot of materials, you can create a course materials fee. So instead of students trying to go and buy all their own materials, they pay a fee and the campus buys the materials. So that's how we pay for all the materials that we use. For a big project like what Emily just described, she got the NSF Early Career Award, and that helped pay for like the installation of things at the garden, which we wouldn't be able to get from course materials fees. Over the years, I've gotten all different kinds of grants from different entities to support new equipment and things like that. We've had some people who were very generous to us in just, I taught with a colleague who really loved what we were doing, and she saw that we needed an extra kiln. We only had one kiln, and she bought us a kiln. So I mean, people have just been really, really generous. Some of our volunteers, they saw me like mixing grout by hand, and they were like, you were going to hurt your back. And the next thing I know, they came with a cement mixer. So we now have our own cement mixer for mixing grout. So you know, people have loved the program and been generous to it. And my department, our department, over now multiple department chairs have also really supported us when during the pandemic times, we had a lot of break-ins. And actually one break-in where they stole all kinds of stuff, you know,
Wow.
all of our tools, and, you know, it was terrible. And the department stepped up and helped us buy everything again. So we've had support at a lot of different levels.
Yes, thank you. Emily, do you want to speak to that or?
Sure. Sorry, I'm stuffing my face with popcorn. Didn't need my. Yeah, you know, I I guess I don't have much to add except for that I've encountered nothing but support at the departmental level for what we're doing. I think my colleague Rachel Van Att was one of the first ones to go out and see the mural, and it was, I didn't even ask her to. She just, I said it was done and she ran out there to go see it. And she's our vice chair right now. And our chair is very supportive as well. Luckily she's new-ish and hasn't had to step up and support us in the way that Diane's talking about. Nothing catastrophic has happened. I imagine at some point that the building we're in is going to get turned down or torn down. And it's been the plan for a while. And so one of the things we're thinking about is trying to get ahead of that and, you know, make sure we have dean's level support to have space in the future. But yeah, I mean, we've gotten extra space recently. Like we have everything that we need for the students to be able to make really big, beautiful public art pieces, and we're pleased.
And then another one, there must be a whole challenge to find new locations for your pieces. And now you're kind of set for a while. You've got your three sections of California. So that's going to take a few quarters.
Yeah, and I sort of glazed over this, but the fact that the frames are installed is a big deal for us because it took a lot of work for them to be built, custom built, and then a lot of work for them to be installed because they're steel and they're huge.
Yes.
They're really heavy. They had to use a boom lift and everything else. And so we're excited about the fact that the framing is not something we have to think about next time around, and we can really focus on the students.
Well, I don't want
I would say with regards to the having places to put the pieces, it's been really interesting. Since the first year that we taught, we didn't have a facility, or I think it was the second year, we didn't have a facility, and the chair at the time let me use the honeybee biology laboratory, which is a big building. And it has all these kind of gray, ugly inserts that go all the way around the building. And so we asked him, like, would you like us to put some murals in there? And we hadn't done that yet with the students in the first year. So he went, oh yeah, please do that. So we put in a couple of these murals, and from that time on, people see it and then they contact us. Or there'll be a situation like Emily described with the Matthiasson Winery, where, you know, she met them in, you know, another part of her life, but then they see the work and they go, wow, you know, could you do that for us? When we did the first mural on Henshaw Hall on the front, it was a big valley oak. It turned out we installed it, and the next week, the Arboretum had a visit from the American Public Garden Association because they were planning a meeting in Washington, D.C. So they came here to work with the Arboretum on planning, and they saw that mural and they said, we want you to do something and bring it to Washington, D.C. for our meeting. And in fact, they wanted that. They wanted the Valley Oak. And we said, well, it's like stuck on the wall with cement, we can't remove it. So they said, well, can you make something else for us? So we ended up making Nature's Gallery. And, the provost funded the shipment of it is 2,500 pounds. And we managed to take it to Washington, D.C. We installed it. It looked like it was permanently installed. But then we came back 9 months later and took it all down and brought it back to our campus. So that kind of, it just kept rolling like that, and I'm sure that when Emily installs these 4 murals, like before she's done with the second one, people are going to be asking, can you do a mural for us?
Right.
And
I've already had people ask.
Right.
It's interesting because like the Mathiasons came to mind because for me, like they really love biodiversity and they're also not like persnickety about their aesthetic. Like they really want to focus on the biodiversity itself at their winery. And so there wasn't going to be a focus on, the mural needs to look a certain way. It needs to have a certain style. It needs to be elegant. Like in situations where people want something elegant, they shouldn't be coming to us. But I do find that there are so many organizations that are excited about having this student work and I think are surprised at how good it does look and how good they do get, despite the fact that a lot of them don't come in with these skills. And I sort of have my sights set on like national parks, state parks, organizations like that, where people could arrive in a parking lot and be, greeted with these sorts of murals. I think that would be really cool for the students to be able to travel and see their work in that way too.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we're thinking about.
Right. So Sheila has her hand up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
Sheila
go
from
back
New
a little
York.
bit. Emily, you are it says you are an entomologist.
Mhm.
And Diane, you're an etymologist. Is that correct?
We're both entomologists.
You're both
Entomologists,
entomologists. And so this is bugs, correct?
right,
Okay.
that's us.
Okay, so Emily, I was reading I actually read both of your bios while I was listening. It's just really, really impressive. And Emily, you were with the USDA, but Diane, you've always been in academia. Had a USDA scholarship? Was that you? Maybe I was looking at your lab, the Meineke lab.
I have a grant from them, but
yeah.
academia.
Okay,
Yeah.
so so this is not really about art, but other than government or academia, do etymologists go into private industry at all?
Yeah.
And if so, where do they go? Do they go to like a Union Carbide or?
Oh,
I don't even think Union Carbide's around anymore. I can't think of another chemical company.
Yeah,
Or maybe it's not.
along those lines. Yeah. So around here there are quite a few. BASF is one. Bayer, those are the big ones. And then there are lots of smaller companies.
Well, Bayer's a drug company, isn't it?
It is, but it swallowed Monsanto not too long ago.
I see.
And Monsanto is an agricultural
I
company.
see. And so, okay. So they draw on graduates from UC Davis. Is that part of the deal? I mean,
I think yeah, I'm sure they do, for sure. But they draw on graduates from all
right.
across the country.
And is that a
program.
wide open field for students who study this? Are there a lot of jobs in those industries?
There are jobs. Often our students are going for pretty competitive positions. Students who come out of UC Davis, because we have a really good entomology program, are very well positioned to interview for those jobs. As long as, they publish and do those things. So it's not a wide open field. Certainly academia is not a wide open field either.
And government's not.
But there are opportunities. Yeah.
It's interesting. Well, maybe they'll transfer in. Maybe they'll just transfer into the art department once they get into one of those big companies.
Well, there's a lot of biotech companies in the Bay Area and also around Davis. And they hire a lot of our graduates. And, you know, sometimes the work might not be directly entomological, but it's research related.
Yes.
Or sometimes it is very much entomologically related, where they want to understand the impact of something on insects, and they hire our students. So students who get degrees in entomology, they may work for the state, they may work for industry. Some of them, and well, I don't know how it's going to be with the situation that we're in now, but we did have a lot of graduates that went into government agencies.
Yeah, yeah.
For example, USAID, which is
USA.
no more.
Yeah.
And some of our graduates lost their jobs in the closing of USAID. So
My father worked for USAID at one point.
yeah,
Well, no,
so
it's interesting. So etymology, do you study the DNA, if there is is there such a thing as DNA for bugs? So you study all that. So
absolutely.
this going into biotech is not necessarily unrelated. I mean, the genes of an insect are not the same as the genes of a human, but
So
still.
in entomology, students or people study everything that has to do with the insect world, from ecology, natural history, genetics, biochemistry, toxicology, the whole range of work, as well as the more traditional parts like systematics and physiology. So
Reproduction.
yeah, so it's a very diverse
Fascinating.
biological field. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Chrisanne, Baker has a question. What kind of signage do you have explaining about the mural, or about in the garden?
Mm.
We don't have any signage yet. We're working on it with the Arboretum. They source the bases for the signage from particular companies, and then work with a different company to create the top part. It's a printed, can order different sizes, laminate, where you can, we're gonna work with their graphic designers and their communications folks to make sure that we're, making engaging signage, because at most you can hope that people will stand there and read something for 30 seconds. I'm saying for personal experience, it has to be really engaging. So we're gonna make one orientation sign, I believe, one sign about the connections between the mural and the garden, and then potentially one other sign that engages kids, so has some sort of like peekaboo situation. That's what we're thinking right now. Yeah. Oh, you're muted, Chrisanne.
Muted.
Okay.
Interesting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I have one more question about that. Because there were some images that were shown earlier on. I think Diane, it was the tree one that you showed earlier on. It looked like it had tags or signage or something built into the design. Is that what that was?
Yeah, so we have done a lot of engraving of tile.
Mhm.
And the particular one you're talking about was called Oak Family Tree. It was about the phylogeny of the oaks. So we made engraved tile pieces that identified each species and each branch on the tree. And then in Nature's Gallery Court, every panel that had a plant and an insect was also engraved. So the people who come to visit it can say, oh, that's this plant. We were fortunate when we were doing that Donna Billick had a sandblaster at her private studio. And so we sandblasted all those engraved pieces. And now there's there's some machines you can get that will engrave for you. And we're looking at actually getting one for the Labudio because I think that could be an important aspect of some future murals.
Yeah. I love that idea. I just finished, well, it's almost finished. I've been working in a with a community on a small island in the Gulf of Thailand. And I set up the first ceramic studio there that was in support of coral reef restoration project that just started.
Oh, cool.
And so it's been, thank you. And it's been a blast. It's all volunteer work on my part. And I've been collaborating with and volunteering for coral gardeners to raise awareness for the reef restoration projects they're doing. So I was teaching free lessons and then having people make sea creatures. And then before I left just a couple of weeks ago, we installed mostly but I love the fact that you guys had so much help. Installed it on this big wall, and there's more to add to it when I go back at another time. But one of the things that I had been thinking about doing for that, but I haven't got advanced enough in the way that I do that is either some kind of signage with a QR code that takes people to a website so that they can look at like they can focus their phone over a particular octopus or pufferfish or type of coral and see what it is and read more about it, so it becomes more of an educational experience, because right now it looks gorgeous. And it certainly is an eye catcher, and people are curious about it and they're loving it and talking about it, which is great. But I want being an egghead myself, I just wanted it to be much more educational. So I was wondering if you guys had kind of broached the whole QR code sort of thing, or you're heading that way, or
that you bring that up. So the Arboretum has been working with AI folks for a while to think about these things. Like, how can we make it so that you bring your phone up in the Arboretum and then you can sort of see which plants are there, or you can see which garden you're walking into or whatever. And so we did talk about that with these murals too, because it's a great opportunity to be like, oh, this insect lives by the beach. Like, can we click on that and see what it is and get some information, and maybe like a link to an iNaturalist page that describes where the insect is and all that stuff. So we're definitely thinking about that, and it would enhance, it would just like exponentially change the educational value of the murals. And so we're thinking about exactly the same thing. And if you find like a way to do this that is, I know you can do like image mapping sort of thing. Maybe we could even do that without involving your camera, just using a QR code to go to a map of the mural, so that when you click on something, you can see what each thing is. If you see anything that helps do this like relatively easily, I'd be so interested.
Yeah, likewise. I'd love to stay in touch with you guys about what you're doing with the project and how you end up evolving.
I'd also like to see a picture of your coral reef.
Yeah, I'll I don't know how to share with you guys, but I guess I could try and share.
Well, we're about to close, but
Okay.
why don't I talk about weed for a minute while you find your share, and then
Okay.
Okay, wow.
Let's see.
We got it shared. So that's what our panels are all about. Our presentations are for you to meet each other and to connect and hopefully help each other with projects. And so glad, Weed is very happy to have you here. And we look forward to maybe sending some weed artists your way to help with your project in any way you can. And let's just wait for a moment, see if Chris-Ann can get her image up. There's a big coral reef project which Weed has in her magazine. It's crocheted coral reefs.
Yes.
It's being done all over the world, and we're actually going to do something with that on Thursday at Pioneers. And it's run by our magazine, our Weed magazine, has an article about the two scientists, artists who started this project, and they just had a show in Baden-Baden, a gigantic crocheted coral reef, which had 400 ladies crocheting and over 4,000 objects in the coral reef display. So I think this whole movement of community and collaboration is super important. Okay. And
I'm sorry, I didn't have it on my desktop, and I don't have it ready to.
You can email it to us.
Yes, I will definitely email it to you. Who should I send it to?
You could send it to info@weed.org, but also send it to Emily and Diane too, if you can.
Okay, maybe you guys could put your emails in the chat for me.
All right, well, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Emily and Diane, and may this new project be wonderfully inspiring, and we're just very grateful for you to come. And maybe some of the Berkeley contingent can come up and visit you at some point when you have an open event. We'd love to. I would love to. All right, so I think, did you get them, the two emails? Great. All right, well, thank you very much for this presentation. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, ladies. It was really
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes, and Josh.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Maybe
for
you'd
your
like to say
research.
hello. Josh has been part of this project.
Yes, only a little bit. I helped them a little bit screen printing. That's all.
Yeah, and it's more than a little bit.
Well,
He helped a lot.
Anytime
Any
something
rate,
goes wrong with
I love the
reprinting, it's like, has
presentation.
someone called Joss yet?
It